Hello, everyone. We have many people arriving for this meeting, so I'm just letting everyone in. As people are joining, I will display our normal slide to begin every meeting. This is the antitrust policy slide from the Linux Foundation. You can find the full antitrust policy notice on the Linux Foundation website. And if you have any questions, you can contact us as well. So today is a very big day for the OpenChain project. And I'm glad that we can make a significant announcement at this meeting. As always, this meeting is really designed to be held in Chinese. So I'm just doing a little introduction in English, and then I will hand over to King to continue discussing in Chinese. All of our meetings are totally informal, so please jump in, ask questions at any time. Okay, so I have shown you the antitrust policy notice, and we will continue and finish the English language section now. Basically, I have one piece of big news that is announced here and then will be announced globally. The news is about the leaders of the OpenChain project, the companies that are on the governing board. OpenChain has a very diverse governing board. You can see many of the members here on this slide. Companies that make silicon like ARM, companies that make cars like Toyota. These platinum members, these governing board members, have supported the project for many years to make an international standard. But our mission has only begun. Now we have to help the world supply chain to use the standard. And we are very lucky today to announce a new governing board member that can help us accomplish this. There's a little bit of echo there, so I'm just going to mute the person with the echo. Today, joining our governing board is our second major Chinese company, Huawei. Huawei is taking a seat on the governing board. Yeah, cool news, right?
Congratulations.
So it's very exciting because we've had Oppo helping us build in the Chinese market. We've had many good friends from companies like Tencent and Baidu and Xiaomi helping us. But it's fantastic to welcome Huawei to the OpenChain governing board. So big hand of congratulations to King and team at Huawei. Thank you very much. We're glad to have you. And now the real work begins as we take OpenChain across the entire Chinese language market space. With that, I will hand over to King to lead the rest of the discussion for this meeting. King, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Shan. I'm so okay. I'm something. I'll talk some word. Yeah.
Yes, over to you.
I'm so excited. So, how is delighted to join the OpenChain project. Huawei. Okay. We will focus the OpenChain project to our supply chains to follow license complaints and promote the OpenChain ISO standard 5230 to the in the Chinese market. Yeah, market. So that's That's all. And my teammate Alex Zheng is online either. He is focused on the Open Euro, and David in the European European Research Center. He is focused on the Open Harmony. Last night, the two guys shared how to less complaints in the Open Harmony and the Open Euro. Okay, Alex, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Alex from Huawei. I'm working for the open source compliance process and management in Huawei for nearly 2 years. And I'm very excited to join the OpenChain, which I think can help us largely enhance our open source compliance management. And we also want to promote the process, the OpenChain standard to our supply chain companies. Thank you all.
Thanks, Alex. And Huawei will be active member in the OpenChain project. This Friday we held the meetup with Giti in the Shenzhen Nanshan district, and we hope everyone who interested in OpenChain will join us together, and we hope to constantly enhance the mutual understanding, cooperating the trust with the global developer and the open source community to build a more security and trustworthiness open source software chain together. That's all. Any comments?
Yes, thank you, King. And everyone, don't forget, you can switch to Chinese for all of your questions to King. Hit him with everything. Ask everything. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, is there any questions you can ask me?
我来问个问题吧。
OK， 嗨，
对，
康老师。
对，然后其实我对华为的加入，我就不觉得奇怪，我是觉得你们早该进来了。
是的。
对对对，而且，它成为国标之后，就是我觉得你们可以拿着国标来约束你们的上下游，这也是一个非常好的事情。然后这边吧，我们还是用个老问题吧。What do you think about join this OpenChain project and be a board member can bring any benefit to Huawei company?
Okay, that's good questions. I think first of all, in our project, I have the almost 7 years experience in the open source governance. 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I have management the product, how to use open source more security and follow license compliance the license in our product. I built the process and evolved the tools like a product society, and we just to ask our engineer to follow our process. So I think they just how to do, teach them how to do the license compliance. Everybody knows how we will build the ecosystem and we open many projects open many projects on Git. Though now we built an ecosystem now, and we just not only focus on the project license compliance, we must to promote our supply chain, our upstream and downstream supply chains to the license compliance. We must to focus, push everybody to follow this standard. not only know how to do to follow standard, and must to know why and what we must follow the standard. So that's why we just we want to join the OpenChain project, and it's not only benefit to Huawei and also benefit to the whole supply chain. Yeah. 就是我再说一下，就是我用中文再表达一下，英文可能表达的不太清楚。就是以前我们做产品的时候，只是去遵从 license 就 OK 了。我们的工程师只要知道根据流程，只要知道我怎么做就行了。那现在其实开源出去，我们每个人在社区都是一个社区的布道者。那其实他不仅仅是要去知道怎么做，更要知道我为什么这样去做。所以我觉得，而且跟上下游整个产业链都要打通，不能上下游。我觉得这块是很关键的。OK， 唐老师，不知道有没有解答您的问题？
其实我只这个问题是抛砖引玉，对吧？
是的，
对。看看其他同学还有什么问题没有？关于这个很 exciting 的 news。
还没走到这儿，在上一层就挂了，是吧？用中文问吗？
可以啊，
涛哥，
你好，我迟到2分钟。其实呢，像 I will use chalice。
Yes, please.
其实是这样的 ，OpenChain 这边的话，因为 Open 这边做了一段时间，实际上，OpenChain 自身的话，它本身是个规范嘛。但实际上呢，它要一个规范要落地，特别是在很多其他企业来落地，比如说如果是供应链的一些企业的话，他们实际上在工具上应该是面临着很多困难的。我们之前也尝试过 OpenChain 的 Toolchain 的这个 group 他们提供的一些工具，但实际上可能要把它跟 OpenChain 的这个规范结合起来，感觉在这边实践中我们这边做的还是比较少。其实华为在这边应该是有很丰富的经验的，是不是？到时候其实之前我也见过一些华为的老师，来分享，就是说，在现有项目中用到的一些工具。那这个工具因为华为其实在工具方面，在国内里面，我觉得是挺强的哈。就是说这个部分的话，可能是不是也可以在工具和 OpenChain 这边的一个结合上面，那多做一些实践和分享，然后让国内的这种其他类型的企业的话，特别是供应链的企业的话，可以在这个地方用的更好一点。这个应该是可以吧？是不是？
这个没问题。我们既然加入这个组织，就是要去推动国内的企业更多的去更好的去践行这个标准。那其实昨天晚上在那个 last night， 昨天晚上在那个 OpenChain 的那个合规的会上，其实华为的欧洲研究所有两位专家已经分享了他们基于 ForceLogic 跟 ScanCode 然后做的这个工具，搭的这个工具给 OpenHarmony 跟 OpenOla 用的，然后有看板有工具什么的。其实不光这个，我们去年我们自己也去西班牙一家公司叫 Scanos， 我也进行了一个采购工作，其实也在 OpenOla 去做了，这个是一个 SCA 的工具。那其实除了这个之外呢，我们自己的在 OpenOla 我们建立了一个 Compliance SIG， 就是叫 Special Interesting Group， 叫 Compliance SIG， 在 OpenOla 其实也在去探索这些工具，更多的是希望通过服务去提供出来。然后这个工具其实未来的代码都是 open 的，大家都可以直接去用。我们不去商用它，不去做商用工具，只是 open 的。
OK， 因为 OpenChain 那边我看西门子这些他们确实做的比较多，而且但是我很认同他们的一个理念哈，他们叫做就是用开源的方式来做开源合规嘛。所以说你刚才说也会开源，我觉得这个确实是很好。如果中国工作组这边我们也能够在这些方面把这些分享的做起来，我觉得可能会对于整个 OpenChain 的规范案的推广会有更大的一个作用。好，那感谢高总。
谢谢涛哥，谢谢您。
然后这个 work group 呢，然后一开始创的时候呢，其实有华为同学在里面，是周明，然后周明，要不你来讲一讲，就说你们当时为什么加入这个 working group， 然后现在为什么又突然又要升级为那个白金，能讲讲这个东西吗？我看周明也在线上。
对，是因为其实就像你说的，其实我们很早之前也一直都在跟Shane去做交流，因为也是认识到这个开源合规在整个 这个开源上下供应链的里面的一个重要性嘛。所以我们之前也是一直在参与，但是呢，现在就是随着我们现在整个大环境的变化，以及现在我们更多的理解，所以说我们才。高混这边也是向公司在申请汇报，就是说我们要更多的投入到这块来，所以就可以意识到开源合规遵从是在整个供应链里面的重要性是越来越凸显出来了。
OK， 这是个很好的回答。
对。想看大家还有什么疑问关于这块？
我觉得华为是代理感好投，就在于一个大公司，它能主动去做它的事情，它是可以驱动它的上下游来一起来遵守这个规范的。我期待就说那个明年，就说那个华为可能对它上下游也说，哎，你们要过 OpenChain 的认证，这个活就好做了，对。
对的，潘老师，其实这就是我们的打算，不仅仅是华为自己的 open source 的 project 要去 certification 的这个 OpenChain。其实我们是希望我们 upstream 和 downstream 也去干这个事情，这样子整个产业链更安全，对吧？更合规。
对，而且这个也是 OpenChain 这个项目成立的意义，对。
是的。
哎 ，King， 刚才那个 Edo 上他们有做介绍吗？
对啊。OK， 先我介绍自己，我们的活动，今天的会议。我们2个日本人参加这个中国 OpenChain 的活动。下次我们 Endo さん和我高橋参加中国开源大会的活动，希望中国 OpenChain 团队和日本 OpenChain 的团队连接。请大家注意我们的活动。Later, introduce again in English. Today, I'm Takasu and Japanese OpenChain Group Charge Masato Endo-san join in this conference. We will apply to the next COSCON China Open Source Conference 2021 in Chengdu. We will introduce China Open Source Group and Japan Open Source Group, how OpenChain Group, how related and how collaborate. Thank you to the introduction. 谢谢大家。
ありがとう。
遠藤さん、英語で自己紹介いけますかね
？Yes, I must stand from Toyota Corporation, and I'm in charge of the OpenChain Japan work group and the automotive work groups. And recently, I also collaborate with Takashi-san and everyone in OpenChain Chinese people. So I'm looking forward to more collaboration, and I'm looking forward to the next this fall event. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
对啊，日本的 OpenChain 的活动很灵活和活泼。遠藤さん和大部分的日本人不可以来监督，但是我现在就在深圳，容易去监督和看见你们。我很希望看见你们认识你，很高兴啊，谢谢。
OK， 你就在深圳对吧？
对啊，我在深圳，但是Masatoさん在日本名古屋。
OK， 我觉得咱们可以在深圳搞一次这种聚会之类的。
对啊，希望看见呀。今天星期四、星期五，华为做的 OpenChain 的活动，我参加看见面，我希望看见面目前。
OK，
Okay, this Friday.
This Friday, I will join.
Yeah. Glad to see you.
Hey Jerry， 我是 Ted， 听得到吗？
听得。
那个刚刚的Takashi上提到，就是10月30、31在那个中国开源年会，我们在深圳跟华为合办一个 OpenChain 的那个 forum 啊，所以你可能有听到了，但是我再提醒一下。
10月份是吧
？10月30、31，就是中国开源年会这次改为线上为主，然后线下有一些北京、上海、成都，然后深圳 都会有分会场，跟2020一样啊。那其中在深圳的分会场呢，应该会有 OpenChain， 我们就跟开源社跟华为，另外还有一个是开源硬件的分会场，应该会也是在深圳这样。
到时候我去给你们捧个场。
必须的。Okay, I have a question for King or Shane. 我这有个问题，就我中英文各讲一次，就是说刚刚是不是Jerry 有说到这个是 OpenChain 是跟国标有关系是吧？就是说已经在进行中，还是说这个讲还有另外一个问题，我就直接说吧，就是说OpenChain 是也欢迎一些 affiliate member， 就是说像一些像开源社啦，如果有兴趣的话，是否也可以加入？怎么样的方式加入？我就是问这两个问题。
这块的话，那个我这边来解答，因为信可能应该听不懂，就是说一个是说 OpenChain 的这个 partner 的话，实际上是有很多类型的。其实已经有很多公司，包括黑鸭的母公司啊，或者说是华永道啊，还有就是说很多其他标准的这种公司，它可以作为 partner 来申请成为 OpenChain 的一个合作伙伴来推广，或者说甚至是有些是企业类型的话，他可能希望以后来做这个的认证，这个其实都是可以的，这是第一个。另外一个就是说，另外一个第一个问题是什么？
那个冯涛，我们这是开源社是一个社区了，是一个社区，不是企业。
我知道，就是说作为社区的合作的话，这个可以跟信来再讨论一下。我觉得有利于那个整个规范的推广的话，我觉得应该说因为它本身自身也是一种社区嘛，对吧？所以这个应该是合作，应该是可以的。但具体要怎么操作的话，这个下来可以再讨论一下。
这个唐老师应该清楚，因为好像 OpenChain 跟这个开放原子的这个基金会也在合作，对吧？
首先呢，我觉得那个 OpenChain 呢，它已经是个国标了，它是去年年底通过的，然后它本身也是一个开放的组织，所以说我觉得它是很欢迎跟各个开源的组织来进行沟通和协作的。所以的 Ted 这点你不用担心。
国标这个是哪个单位牵头的？新通院还是哪个单位牵头的？
它是这样的，就是说去年的时候，刚才钟毅讲的是去年的时候，它已经成为了 ISO 2530的这个标准。然后呢，国内的话是跟叫做 CESI 吧。
OK， 杨主任这边是 CESI，
对，
中国
就是
电子标准院。
对，因为当时评审这个2530的时候，那个杨总他们那边是参加了的，但这个具体要怎么样合作的话，其实都可以下来再包括跟杨总这种一起来沟通一下都是可以的。
然后我现在
Okay, got it. For Shane's information, that I'm asking that how the open source community like 开源社 can participate in the OpenChain community. So that was answered. Thank you. And second question is that how the OpenChain standard adopted by Chinese national standard, and that was also answered. Thank you. That's two questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. And a little bit of extra news, because why not? So people probably know about Harmony OS that Huawei have created, and OpenAtom has OpenHarmony. But there will be another part of OpenHarmony hosted by Eclipse Foundation. So that when you want to use OpenHarmony, for example, in China, you work with OpenAtom. But if you want to work on a customized version for Italy, maybe you use OpenHarmony hosted by Eclipse.
Eclipse, oh, cool.
Yeah. And the formal announcement of all of the details will be in September. But last night we had a little bit of a sneak preview on a global OpenChain call. This is very interesting because, of course, OpenHarmony being available for the Chinese market with OpenAtom, being available for things like US market with Eclipse, very clearly matches what happens with the Android open source project. So it's going to have a very clear community global ecosystem. But for us in OpenChain, it's also exciting because Open Harmony is using OpenChain ISO 5230 processes to help manage how the community project is governed. So you can see a very large step forward for the OpenChain standard, as well as another operating system support. I think I'm very excited about this because since 2019, we discussed how OpenChain can work in projects, but Open Harmony will be the first very clear global real-world example of this. So it's another example of how things are moving forward. I have one more piece of news. My last piece of news is related to something that is just beginning now. OpenChain, as an ISO standard, people can self-certify. Some companies want a third-party certifier. And there are various third-party certifiers around the world. Announcing on Thursday is a third-party certifier called Bureau Veritas. That's a very old company, since 1828. What's interesting for us is that it's the Taipei office of Bureau Veritas offering third-party certification. So it's the first time we'll have proper Chinese language support from a local office for third-party certification if you want it. Now, I think this is just the very beginning. We're obviously going to be having Chinese third-party certifiers on the mainland soon. But I just thought it was interesting that Bureau Veritas is announcing this week as well. So we have Huawei joining the governing board. We have Open Harmony using processes from OpenChain. And we have a local Chinese language certifier available. So a lot of stuff. Bear in mind, with the certifiers, you don't need to use a certifier. Okay. OpenChain, you can self-certify. Most people self-certify, but some people want to be able to do something like third-party certification, and that is available. And just so you know, in case you're curious about Bureau Veritas, this is who they are. And you can find out more about them, but you can also be inspired. If you think of other companies that can be third-party certifiers in the Chinese mainland, email me, I'll talk with them. But of course, I mean, all of that is really cool, et cetera, but the really big news today is just Huawei's on the governing board. You know, along with Chris from Oppo, King from Huawei, and myself, we're going to be not just building the community, not just putting things into the supply chain. We're also going to be working towards a very clear vision about how OpenChain project is governed by Chinese companies. So you can see we have quite a few Japanese companies, we have quite a few American companies. We definitely want to see an equal number of Chinese companies on the governing board, guiding this international global standard to make sure that it is permanently perfect for everyone around the world. So that's it from me. Not to put you on a spot, King, but would you like to close the meeting with a final word? Given that you have just joined the governing board and you and Chris will be leading the next Chinese work group meetings going ahead.
我建议大家比一个手势，可以截个屏。
Snapshot.
Yeah.
Gesture like this or heart. Lao? Which one? Which one shall we choose?
那个 Jerry 带个头 ，Jerry 很会做这个手势的。
对 ，Jerry。
哎，这个是比较你在那个 Apache 看那个做很可爱。
All right, it's time for
yeah.
有人截屏吗
Yeah.
No snapshot. Yeah, like this.
有人截屏吗
Who can snapshot?
Oh, it's on video.
Yeah.
Xian is recording it. So.
All right, give me a second. Let me take a clip. Hold on a second. On my command, I'll let you know. Give me a second.
And while we're getting ready for that, I just want to check, Chris, are you on the line?
Yeah, okay. Please do the, move again. Clip the screen. 1, 2, 3.
Come on.
Don't put it down, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
No, just only one. Sorry, hold on a second. Do it again.
我今天穿的绿衣服。
Oh, okay, I got it. Okay, thank you.
All
that's
right.
Done. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Chris, I think you might be on the line as well. Hi, Chris. How are you doing?
Xiang, I forget to put the English name. That's my Chinese name.
Well, Chris, obviously, I think today is a pretty exciting day as well for you. You now have more friends on the board, and we can continue to build our mission. One thing I wanted to do was just to tell everyone that we owe Chris a huge debt. Chris brought Oppo onto the OpenChain board quite a while back and has been really central in OpenChain coming to market as an ISO standard. And what happened next in building excitement in the Chinese market. So Chris, thank you so much. And I think everyone should give a big hand to Oppo for helping get us here today.
Thank you, Xian.
And also thank you for the great telephones. You guys are doing hard work. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very exciting meeting. This is the beginning of a new chapter in China. And you are going to be so important in making sure that we fix the supply chain efficiency. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Stay safe. Talk soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Oh.
Excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. There is another topic. We almost forgot it.
Okay.
I
Over to
remember
you.
Guoxue will give us some presentation, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Guoxue is weeping, so you guys are really bad.
Okay.
Hello everyone, and I'm Guoxue, and a little noise here. Sorry.
Hello.
Okay, and I'm from China Academy of Information and Communication Technology, which is also called CAICT. And it's my first time to attend the OpenChain's meeting online. But I think maybe I have attended the meeting offline 2 years before, maybe. And we prepare a slides here. And today we're here is also for seeking a change with OpenChain. Like this. And
could you guys mute the background noise, please, other than Guoxue? Thank you.
Thank you. And CST is founded in 1950, which is a scientific research institute directed under MIT of China. And we think we play an important role in strategy and policy study. Especially in the ICT sectors. And maybe I think we know CESI and CEST and the CESI are both institutes and MIT of China, well on ICT fields and like this. Okay, some details I would like my colleagues Hanfei to introduce.
Hi everyone, this is Fei Han, And let me introduce our achievements in open source field. As you see, this is a timeline of our institution in open source study. You can see that our researches refers to all parts of open source ecosystem. Our cooperative partners, including open source foundations like the Chinese Foundation, Open Atom Foundation, the CNCF Foundation, some universities, the internet companies, and technical companies. Here comes the CSCT open source governance system. We set up this governance system based on the open source life cycle. The parts we take into consider, including how to manage open source software, how to choose open source software, the risk of open source supply chain, and the open source brain management, and so on. In the field of open source industry, our institution have deep study accumulation. These are several white papers we wrote before. First one is the introduction of the open source license. The second one is open source governance white book. The third one is about the financial services open source governance. Without these three, we also have worked on other parts of open source, like open source industrial white book or open source ecosystem white book, which contains most of open source software in China. Down here are the open source unions held by CSCT. We gathered the same type of companies as a union in order to find out and solve the specific problems that the union members may concern. At September 17 on the OSCR meeting, we are going to set up another two unions. One is ICT telecommunication user community, and the other one is trustful open source community. What we are going to do is to send in the products from the trustful open source community directly to the user community or union, just like the ICT telecommunication we've talked before. This page is about the cooperative project between Huawei and us. The project is on the move is the first one, the open source community evaluation system. The community evaluation system focuses on how to manage and operate the open source community, how to populate the project to the market. The system assesses the community from community management, community operation modes, project development, and infrastructure. These four parts to keep the project trustable. And the project in the future is about the open source legal compliance. When we use scanning tools scanning open source software, we found that most software have license conflict. Even some well-known open source software, it may cause serious legal disputes. We are going to talk about the risk of using different licenses, the conflicts between different licenses, how to choose licenses, and the tools used to manage open source components. Down below are the monitor platforms of open source ecosystem. We are supervising most of the open source products and open source communities in China. We separate these products by function and label the products if the product passed our evaluation or some of the other tests. This section is about the enterprise open source software management. We graded the company as 3 levels. I assessed the company from 2 dimensions, the bring-in procedure and the management ability. From the procedure view, we are going to supervise the software from the starting point, determine and review the software regularly until the software out of the management system. About the ability part, we are more concentrated on the company's management ability, like whether the company has specific organization to manage the open source software or not. Is the management system reasonable, or do they have a risk control plan? Speaking of seeking a chance to have a cooperation, we assumed 4 cooperation modes. Based on the OpenChain references slide, we can organize companies study about the open source, learning the risk of using open source, and how to choose open source components. The second mode is to combine OpenChain ISO 5230 international standard with our open source governance system. Once the company passes the evaluation, the company could get the certification from both CAICT and OpenChain. The next mode is a workshop. By holding workshops, we can invite scholars from different organizations to give speeches about the present and future of the open source industry. The last one is during research. We can establish new standard and new evaluation system aimed to other components of the open source ecosystem. By gathering the results from different countries, we can adjust our standard more suited for the companies with different backgrounds. This is the end of my presentation. Thanks for listening.
It is amazing how many standards your organization has been part of. We clearly have a lot to learn from you in not just developing a standard, but maintaining it over time and continuing to build it. So I'm really excited we can work together on that.
Yeah. We still hope to have a chance to collaborate with OpenChain.
Yes, this is very exciting that we can collaborate on bringing OpenChain into your work cycle, all the standards. I know that various organizations have been examining how the future of China's market and standards will work. For example, CESI has been involved with some of the ISO processing. And I know, of course, OpenAtom has been reaching out to many people around the world to collaborate. I'm delighted we can work directly with you as well. Is it possible at different times to talk with you directly, to make plans together and so on?
Okay, and as you know, and CSI and both CSI and CIST are the institute of MIT, but we focus on different fields, and especially in ICT fields is our main sector. Sorry, and so we have many standards in China about open source governance. So maybe some details we have to discuss, and we can send our slides. So maybe some details we should to discuss. Yes.
That will be great. And if you send your slides, I will make sure to share them with the global community that aren't on this call, so they fully are aware and can collaborate as well. I know from talking with our friends in Korea, Japan, talking with our collaborators in Germany, there's a huge interest in trying to work very closely with the organizations in China, like yourself, as we work on the next step. Each national place wants to have its standards policy, but we also want to lock everything together so that our global supply chain is efficient.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for being here. That's so cool. If you can email me the slides, I will start sharing them with the whole planet.
Okay, I will send it.
You. Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
我就说这事最开始你找了我，就说我们从中得到啥？我就我现在还没看到得到啥，对吧？我们帮他去立了航标了，帮他去干嘛啥？对吧？我们最后得到啥
I think last year I and Guoxue, the CICT, we have established the open source compliance license compatibility white paper. So we will continue to build more and more standards together, and to promote our customer and in the factor, and to follow the OpenChain standard. That's our plan. Yeah,
it's a good plan. I love the idea that we can work together on the standards in China. One of the most frequent questions from the global companies in OpenChain is, what is China doing? People really want to follow what the government policies, what the standards will be in China to make sure that they are compatible for the future. It's a very common question. So this connection today is super important. And I'm looking forward to next steps. All right, thank you very much. I will put the recording of this call online very shortly. I'll be putting it on YouTube for international and also one of the Chinese video platforms for domestic market. And I will contact everyone on WeChat as soon as it's ready. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Please stay safe, stay healthy, stay well, and let's try to meet face to face soon.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. 谢谢。